Welcome to this, I think, fourth in the series of our webinars, which we conduct every fortnight. So, this webinar is about how you or your CISO can, achieve compliance and increase the security of the system with the new releases of our products. Right. So, we'll talk about that. So, let's get started. So before we get into the nitty-gritties of the security features which we have enhanced, I just thought we'll paint a picture of a what-if scenario for your organization, which will help you understand the criticality of the security of the data. So what if your employees are to delete some of their mail during an inbox cleanup? And this is a normal procedure in most companies, which is required to meet quota limits, or some companies have it as a policy, right? So what happens to those mail? What if you find out that there is some fraud, and there is some fraud, but you just don't have access to all those emails because they are either downloaded to a PST or they have been backed up in an archive on a local PC, and you just cannot access them easily? So what happens then? What happens if you have lots of email data which you want to move from one platform to the other? As we have discussed many times in the earlier webinars, this is a very, very challenging task for most companies, because extracting data from a system, an email platform which is running, for example, Exchange, Google, Office, or even Metis platform, will have certain limitations to pulling it out in one stroke. So how do you do that? What if you need to do this, and what are the methods to do this? What if your employees are backing up data locally? Most of the people are doing that in today's times. They archive mail using the archive function of MS Outlook or Thunderbird. That stores data locally on the laptop, and then what if it gets infected? What if the laptop is stolen? What happens if the data is destroyed? What if your employee leaves and you need to retain all the mail in a search ready form, not in a PST form, which is more like saying that I have the data, but I'm not sure I can actually retrieve it for you easily? And what if your management wants to find useful information across mailboxes? What then? So these are the scenarios which you might be encountering in your day-to-day email management task or email data management function, of your team. And we thought we'll place this in front of you before we move ahead into the scenario where we describe how we can solve all these problems. So considering these questions and the situations, is your organization having a management strategy to solve these problems? Is it a yes or a no? Okay, the basis of the webinar is that it's a no. So if it is a no, all right, then we believe that your information governance strategy, a major part of that, would be focused on ensuring that your corporate data is safe, secure, and durable. This is important because all those questions which we asked at the beginning of the webinar point to the fact that your data is not kept in a safe, secure, and durable form and easily accessible form. So if you want to answer all those questions which are more like day-to-day operational problems you might be facing, all right, then we would have to make sure that your data is kept in a safe, secure, and durable form throughout the life cycle. All right, and this is what will give you the access and the solution to those questions. And considering that, again, an established fact that more than 70% critical data is carried in email and not in other platforms, right? It just makes sense that your information governance initiative has to focus on email first. Okay, this is a starting point. So we believe that, and we've spoken about this at length in earlier webinars and presentations, that a cloud-based business email and email archiving solution, right, will be the most scalable, durable, and secure option for your business email. Okay, and we've discussed this at length, so we'll not get into the whys of this at this point in time. But it is proven without doubt that a cloud solution would be the most scalable, durable, and secure option for your data. Two, that same solution will also provide you tools to discover, recover, and be compliance ready, which means it will just not just store your data for you safely, but will also enable you to find and search and use the data for compliance regulation. And we believe that if you adopt a cloud-based email and an archival solution, then you will get your answers to the security scenarios which we described in the beginning of the webinar. So let's look at first some basics, all right, before we get into the new features of our products. Let's be sure that we have our basics covered. So if I am to store data on the cloud, okay, what all should I look for as an organization? So we're going to show you now what you should consider when you make an evaluation. First things first, your infrastructure. So it's established that you're taking up a cloud. Right? So what should the cloud be? Now we have again established this, and I'm going to reiterate that the cloud is not the same as a hosted data center. Okay, there are very few cloud players globally, and cloud essentially is a form of IaaS, an infrastructure as a service. So a cloud not just gives you virtualization and storage, but it gives you the ability to program it and leverage it using services or API. So you need a robust, certified, and secure cloud platform. That's the beginning. That's the starting point, because that's the foundation of our application. You should be able to choose where you're going to store the data, which country, so that it adheres or you can adhere to your regulation guidelines of data residency. Third, all the resources used by the application, which are provided by the cloud service, have to be hardened, controlled, and firewalled. This is a fundamental 3 points to ensure that your data which is storing on the cloud will be safe and secure. Okay, it is not a complete list, but these are the top 3 critical things to watch out for in a platform which you're choosing for your cloud data store. Second, once this is out of the way, all right, your data should be stored with encryption. Okay, that means it should be encrypted at rest in the storage. Now, typically most cloud services are multi-tenant. So multiple customer data would be hosted on the same setup. So there should be a very sharp and clearly defined way to partition data between tenants. Okay, this is something you need to understand very closely when you're working with vendors who are selling you cloud-based solutions. Third, the data has to be extremely durable. You do not want to get into the headache of backing up the data from the cloud now. The whole idea of taking it to the cloud is to reduce your management headache and maintenance headache, which means that you have to look for a cloud service which provides you extremely durable data stores, which means that once you deposit data there, you are done. It will never be lost. So let's come to the third thing now. Now that you have a strong platform, a secure platform, you have put data there which is encrypted and protected. Okay, now how do you make sure that the access to that is secure? So the first thing is that service which you adopt, whichever that is, has to give you role-based authorized access, which means that your users will be given restricted access based on the role which they perform in the organization. So if he's a senior administrator, he would be given more access. If it's a senior manager, he would be given access to more data and stuff like that. Second, a control on where the user can access the data, which is basically allowing him to access from home or from the office network, allowing him to access from mobile or not. So such controls will be the next level of access security which you would need. Third, password is your key to enter the system. So the system should support policies like password age, password history, password complexity. All right. So these are very important to ensure that the user chooses a strong, unbreakable password for his account. Fourth critical thing is, in case there is an attempt to log into the system using a brute force attack, then the system should automatically lock that account. Very important point. And so these are the four critical things to watch out for in access. Everything works on the network, so this is a must to look at. There are 2 points. Any data which moves on the wire should be encrypted in transit, number 1. Number 2, since the system is internet facing, it is prone to attacks, DDoS attacks. So is the system having the capability to mitigate and ward off such attacks and make sure they don't affect the performance of the system? This is another thing to watch out for. From an application perspective, really what you're looking at is, one key thing is whether your users will get tamper-proof access, which means you don't have to worry. You can just give them the access, but they can do nothing to the data. From a governance perspective, which is required for almost every organization today, you want to make sure that the service provider on the cloud is maintaining audit trails of every activity, every micro activity as well. Plus, these logs are retained for a long time. Typically, in our case, like we do it for 10 years. Because you never know when you might want to find out or submit some proof or evidence of some activity done by a particular user. Maybe even few years ago. So, let's come to SkyConnect and Vaultastic, which are our 2 solutions on the cloud. One is a business email solution and one is an email archival solution. Both are SaaS, both are hosted on Amazon. Alright. Now, all the things I spoke about earlier, which were the basic best practices for security when it comes to deploying data on the cloud, these 2 products of ours I'm very proud to say that we provide a tick mark on each of those security requirements. All right. So those are all covered if you are to adopt any of these 2 products from us. And now with the new releases, we've added a lot more ticks, which is what we will now be discussing. Ticks means we have added more security capability. So let's come to that. The first one, the new versions of SkyConnect allows you to have a private communication between 2 people, which is digitally signed and encrypted. The email flow is signed and encrypted. Now what it means, let me give you an example. All right, if Ravi sends a mail to Anil and digitally signs and encrypts the email, okay, only Anil can see that. If by mistake or deliberately Anil is to forward that mail to, let's say, Raju will not be able to see that email. He will see garbled email. So that is how this feature works. The idea behind this feature is that the communication between 2 or more people in a closed group is completely private, and it is technically private. It is not just declared private. So this is what we call easy PGP. Second, we now have the capability to allow our customers to access their mailboxes on the Amazon environment from their environment over a VPN. So of course it comes at a cost which is not too much, but yes, now we have the capability to allow you to do this. So this is a very important capability for a lot of customers who would not want to, even though everything travels on SSL, they're still very keen that the access to their environment or the mailboxes happens only through an IPsec VPN. Third, we now have made it a default, okay, to configure your domain with DKIM, which means that all the mails which are outbound from our system are digitally signed. This means that the reputation of the email and the domain which is sending it is encoded into the email itself, which makes it very likely to be delivered to the inbox of the recipient rather than to the spam, and if it originates from our servers. So this is a very important step to ensure deliverability and to ensure and to improve the reputation of your domain which is transacting mail on the internet. Fourth, in our system, if you had to access the address book, you would connect to the LDAP directory, all right, over the LDAP protocol, which you would configure on mobile, Outlook, Thunderbird, or any of the clients. But what we have done now is we have shifted LDAP to a level below, basically demilitarized it, all right, and provided a very secure proxy, which is more like a pass-through proxy, which allows you, so you access the proxy and the proxy will cache the data from the LDAP server and send it back to your client. So this has secured the LDAP directory by another level, although it was already very secure, but we have taken this step to ensure that we have a multi-layered security on top of that. Fifth, the resources which we have on Amazon, which are our compute instances and the other compute resources, are now protected online for IDS, intrusion, corruption, malware and trojans. Now this was done using a process earlier, right, which has been automated now, and it is it's an always running system to detect any kind of changes, any kind of modifications, any kind of new things which were unauthorized on the systems. Right, so this is an always online running protection now on our system. DevOps is a backbone of any cloud service. So it is of ours. Any new releases are pushed to the cloud platform through this channel, and there is a team working on this now. This pipeline has been strengthened even further, by using tighter and more stronger IAM rules, which is identity and access management, to ensure that even through automation, the availability or the access to the resources is controlled. Okay, that's it's a back-end thing, but it's very important to ensure that the resources which are just growing, in our environment are, even through the automated tools, they have reduced access to the data and the resources. All login pages are now protected using CAPTCHA. This protects against bot attacks and what do you call them, hack attempts to break into passwords. It's optional. The customer may switch it off, although we recommend that we keep it on. We have disabled the SSL v2 and v3 protocols now in HTTP, and we use a later version now, which has made the security even higher, because these were deprecated and recommended to be removed. Initially, the traffic between our servers or resources in the VPC of on the Amazon environment, okay, some of it was secured, some of it was open, but while it was completely secured within the VPC, it didn't matter. But we've gone a step further and we have decided that we will secure any traffic which leaves any server destined for anywhere. Okay, so even the local and internal intra-server traffic is also now encrypted. So everything which moves on any wire is now encrypted. There was a case of where there were multiple SMTP connections with failed authentication. This was a way of kind of blocking out SMTP, but we put in a system to block out such connections automatically. So there will be no disruption in the SMTP service if there is somebody making too many attempts and failing in all those attempts. So these are the top 10 security features which we have built into the new versions of SkyConnect and Voltastic combined. Some of them are there, some of them are common between the two, okay, and some are very specific to one or the other. Now, the next big thing which we have done in these releases is that we have ensured that we have been through the guidelines of HIPAA, GDPR and IRDAI. IRDAI is an Insurance and Regulatory Development Authority of India. HIPAA is related to pharma environment. Okay. Now we have gone through the security specifications of these three, what do you call them, bodies, all right, which is their guidelines, and ensured and reviewed that our solution, okay, on Amazon adheres to these and is compliant with these, which means that if you are an insurance customer of Mithi and you use our solutions, for you to comply on IRDAI guidelines for email and email data management is already done. It's nothing for you to do. So this is a very important step to help our customers become compliant with HIPAA and IRDAI, GDPR as well. All right. So this is a very important step which we have taken. Okay, this means that organizations who are seeking compliance to these frameworks can expect full tech support when you use these two solutions as part of your application stack. Thus, okay, we say that by using the secure SkyConnect and Voltastic solutions on the cloud, for you, ensuring safety, security and durability of humongous volumes of data is easy and automatic. It's pretty much built in. So that's where we're going every year and every month and every week. We continue to improve our security posture, pass those benefits on to our customers to help them improve their security posture in turn, right? And these same cloud solutions can also help your organizations get compliant. Alright, these are some of our customers. I'll not dwell too long here. These are some of our awards, partnerships. We've added a new trust strip out here, if you may notice, which is also available on our website, which talks about all our connections which build trust in the customer. So we're powered by Amazon, we use SSL, we support HIPAA compliance and more.